Hey guys, what's up? Ryan Potter here with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Ambassador Real Estate, and I am here to continue on in the series of the 12 things you need to know before going sailing for the first time, or what I like to say, buying a house or getting involved in the house buying process. Whether that's the first time, the second time, the fourth or fifth time, whatever, I think these steps are going to help you. So as you know, we covered the first couple steps in the previous video I did on part one. Now we're going to do part two here, and I'm going to read off just steps 3 and 4, and then how I think that relates from sailing into real estate. So it's interesting again how I find that as this person wrote about the 12 steps to first going sailing and getting that started, to how it applies to real estate as well. So hopefully you're enjoying this series and enjoying these steps and the things that I talk about, because my job is to educate you and to get you planned and prepared for that next step in your life and that journey. So number 3, step 3 says the right footwear is among the most important apparel to consider. So think about that as you're sailing. The right footwear is important. It shouldn't come as a surprise that boats can get slippery, and this is the reason why shoes may be the most important apparel that bring you on board. So how does that relate to real estate, right? Well, what I thought about is your lender. I thought about the bank you decide to go through, or the mortgage company that you decide to go through. There are some out there that might get a little slippery and might not be the best for you in your current situation. So what that means is do your research. You know, there's certain companies and there's certain lenders out there that have made it extremely difficult sometimes to get some deals done depending on the certain situation. I've been in situations where I've worked with people, and in fact, one of my first actual transactions that I did, I was working with people. We wrote up on a house. I had a pre-approval letter from the bank. And we are about 2 weeks out from closing, and I get a phone call from the bank, and it's like, hey, we've got a slight problem. The people that you're working with, we should have never pre-approved. And I was like, what? We're 2 weeks out from closing. So I had to scramble, and I had to run around, and I had to talk to the different lenders that I know and have them look at my client's current financial situation, and to hurry up and get us pre-approved and get us through that and see if that was even an option. Which we ended up doing. We got them pre-approved through another one of my lenders, and we got to close on the house actually a week later than what was on the contract. But the good news is we got to close on the house. The bad news is exactly what I'm talking about now. Is you want to make sure that you choose the right lender to get pre-approved for. So although things can get slippery, your footwear, as opposed to the sailing, is kind of the first thing that you would kind of want to do when you're looking for the home buying process. Is you want to find a good lender. If you don't know a good lender, contact me. I'll put you in contact with some, because I work with 4 of them very closely. And so I have some options for you, and we'll help you get in contact with the right fit for you, and then to go with somebody that is going to help us get through that process and is going to set us up right from the get-go and not run into anything along the way as we go. Now, are there things that come up? Sure. But when you have a good lender and when you have a good realtor and you work things together, you get through some of those rough things if those do come up. So communication is key, and that's why I work with the 4 that I work with. So anyways, yeah, get pre-approved through a lender that is trustworthy, reliable, and that has experience, and that is the best fit for you. So that'd be my advice there. Step number 4, what they say is, not only should you bring food, but plan your menu around the trip's details. Whether you're planning on being out to sea for a day or a week, food is a must. And we all know that you need food, right? You need food to survive. So how does that relate to this process? Well, this is where I enter. And this is step 4, where I talk about, hey, you need a good realtor. You need someone who is going to help you along the way, not just from the beginning and then at the end of a transaction close and be done with you, but you need someone that's going to stay in contact with you, that's going to build that relationship from day one. They're going to educate you on the steps needed. So in this case, the steps needed would be, hey, we're getting pre-approved and we're finding out, are we a good fit for one another? If we are, let's get you pre-approved, and then let's move into the next phase of that journey, which is going to be setting you up on a search. It's going to be looking at some houses, and then when we eventually write on the house, again, I'm educating you on the steps needed to take from the moment we write on that contract to the moment we get an inspector to the moment I'm communicating with the lender on when to order the appraisal for you, to all the different steps along the way. But you want somebody that you can trust, someone that's going to be upfront with you and transparent with you and is going to get real with you. So for example, like on the inspection, I'm going to be upfront with you and I'm going to be real with you and say, typically that's not what we ask for, but we can try, but don't expect the seller to fix that. It seems kind of tedious or whatever the case may be. Whatever it is, I want you to know this. I'm going to do what's in your best interest. So if your best interest is you want me to write up a specific thing, I'm going to do that for you. I'm also, though, going to be upfront and transparent with you, and I'm going to tell you the pros and the cons of doing that, whatever that decision is throughout along the way. Okay? So you want to find somebody, and that's where I move into this point, is food is a necessity, right? You can't survive without food. You can for a certain amount of time, but eventually you're going to die of hunger, right? Starvation. And what you need is you need that food to sustain you through that process. And I am your food. And so I want to educate you. I want you to learn something throughout this entire process when you're buying a house. And even if it's your 5th time going, I hope I can educate you on something new. That's my goal. I want this process to not only be fun and professional, obviously, but I want you to learn something along the way. So when we go buy the next house, you're more educated on how the system works and how things have changed and, all sorts of things. That's the other thing in this industry is things are always changing. Laws are changing. The way we go about and strategizing and finding a house are changing. All these things constantly change. And if you don't stay up to date with that, then you're going to fall behind with the others. And what I mean by that is you want to find a realtor that is constantly on the move and on the go and staying educated in this industry. Because if they're not, they're going to fall off the face of the industry because it's constantly changing. One of my coaches always says to me, marry the principle but date the strategy. What that means is the principle never changes, right? So in this industry, the principle never changes. You're always wanting to get in front of a buyer or a seller, and you want to close a transaction, right? That's the principle. That's never going to change. That's our goal, obviously, when we get together, is to buy you a house or to sell a house and to have a successful transaction out of it. That will never change, right? But the strategy to do it does. Technology changes. The way we go about talking to people in the office changes. All these different things change. And so if you're not willing to adapt to that change, you're not going to be successful in this business. So you constantly have to be learning and growing and doing new things. So a lot of that stuff is going to determine who's going to be the right fit for you and the best agent for you. I'm going to be a little biased and say that I'm one of the best here in Omaha, and I am the best. But the reason for that is because I'm willing to go about and to adapt to change as this industry changes and as this market changes constantly all the time as well. So what you need to do is find yourself someone that is not only going to just take you through a transaction and get it over and done with. My goal is, like I said from the very beginning, is I'm going to educate you from day one to the day we close till after we close. You're going to be invited to events after we close on the transaction. There's going to be FaceTime Lives that I do with other lenders and other people that I do to keep you educated even after we close so that you know what's going on in the market and the industry. And then you're also going to be followed up with on a continual basis. On an annual basis, you're going to know after a year of buying your house what your house is worth and how much equity is in that house now as it pertains to the current market. And has that changed? Has our value gone up? Has it gone down? You're going to know that because after a year, I'm going to follow up with you and we're going to go through that together. So just different things there that I do to separate myself from the competition. And I'm not going to share all those things because they probably watch these videos as well. But anyways, I wanted to talk to you about that. So you've got step 1, step 2, step 3, and step 4. I'm going to go over step 5 and 6 coming up here soon. So stay tuned for that. Thank you for following through and watching this video on part 2 of the 12 steps to take when buying a home. So I enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy it. And if you guys have any comments or questions, be sure to do that below or reach out to me. If you don't know, I've made it super easy for you to connect with me, realtorpotter.com. That's all my platforms there. If you're interested in buying or selling a house or you're interested in building, it's an easy form there for you to fill out and get sent to me. So anyways, with that being said, thanks guys. I look forward to the next one, and steps 5 and 6 will be coming here shortly.